Morning. Welcome to Glazing with Amaco. I'm Kara. Hi, Christina. Hang on one moment. I'm going to adjust some windows here so I can see comments. And there we go. And accept that. Sorry. All right. Sorry, this has been a kind of frenetic morning going on here. Welcome. Kim says, I can't wait to see these. I'm sure there are a lot of people who feel exactly the same way. Hi, Sherry from Arkansas with Rooster Poot Pottery. So you guys have probably seen the reels on Facebook, the ads that just came out in Ceramics Monthly, some other things showing off Amaco's newest glaze line, that is the Cosmos glazes. And we are really excited to present these to you because they are amazingly dramatic. They are not like any other commercial glaze that you have seen. I know that there are commercial crystalline glazes on the market, but nothing quite like this. So I don't have my close-up camera today. I was hoping that we would have that ready. But we're having some technical difficulties. It tells us that it's working and then it isn't. So hi Jeff, hi Alan, hi Jackie in West Virginia. So the Cosmos glaze line is 5 glazes. It consists of Supernova CO6, which I have here. I have a couple of Supernova vases that I'll be showing you more, which is a white clear glaze. We have, let me do these in order. We have CO7 Solar Flare. This one is a gold color glaze that has rainbow iridescent crystals that develop on it. We have CO8 Dark Star, which I don't seem to have a sample of with me today. I think I left that on the desk. We have CO13, trying to do these in order. CO13 Mars Crystal, which is this beautiful iron red glaze that develops iridescent crystals as well as kind of dark and lighter modeling across the surface. And last but not least is CO14 Solar Rainbow. Hi, Vev in the UK. Hi. Oh, Alan's coming in from Michigan. So we have a variety of things. And the thing about the CO glazes, as I said, they are all crystalline glazes. They all develop really amazing effects. They can be fired in a normal cone 5 to cone 6 firing. You do not have to do any special program, but if you do a special slow cool or the up-down schedule that our lab has developed, which has a drop, a hold, rises up again, and then drops slowly again, you will get even more amazing crystals, and you can use liner glazes with them. So these are all things that are very, very exciting. Yvonne asks, what color is the Dark Star? Dark Star is black with kind of a green and iridescent crystalline structure. So like I said, I don't think, oh, I do. This one actually is Dark Star, and it does have some blistering because I fired this one in a normal firing with a C11 mixing clear as a liner. And as I said, if you do a special firing, you will get better effects. So you can do the liner glaze. I don't have that one. We gave that to the designers to photograph, and I'm not sure where it went. So I have so much more. Anyway, let me pull out some other things. I have some vases that I'm going to glaze. I have some vases to show you different effects. So I have a little box of various things. This is solar flare. This is a sculptural form, so the inside is left unglazed, and this is part of a larger sculpture. I am not sure if you can see the effect that it gives. Let me switch over to my overhead and see if that helps. Can you see the iridescence in that? Really beautiful. So Viv is asking, can these be used in a single firing? Since she hasn't bisque fired for a couple of years now. And Viv, you would have to test that because I am not sure. I would guess no. And I would be extremely nervous about single firing these. But I think it depends on your clay body and how slowly you fire. So I did a lot of testing with different bisque temperatures, but not with single firing. Hang on, I'm going to see if I can dig out some of my clay body tests. Now, I did these tests with the Mars crystal. So this is Mars crystal. Like I said, it's sort of a reddish brown iron glaze. Sherry, you said you could see it and it's beautiful. That's great. So this is on Aardvark's Coleman porcelain, and instead of coming out the dark red that you would expect here, it came out this interesting orange. So it likes most porcelain or white clays. It did do something strange on Coleman porcelain. I'm not really sure about that. But it, oh, that's CO13. I thought that was, oh, that is CO13. It looks so different. Look at that. So this is our 46M, and it worked really well. And this is our 11M. So 11M, 46M looks almost the same. You can see there. Not sure how my lighting is working with those. Margaret asks, are they food safe? And the answer is that although they do pass food safety testing and do not have any ingredients that would be hazardous for food surfaces, the surfaces of these glazes are very fragile. And I would not recommend them for food surfaces. Oh, Kyle says there's a lot of glare on the tiles. I'm not seeing the glare. Hang on a moment. I think they're just coming out kind of dark. It's hard to see them. Mostly what I see is a difference in color. So these two have a little bit more orangey. I'm sorry, this one almost has a greenish tone. These three are more red, but they're all various shades. So those are different clay bodies, and there will be more information on our website once the Cosmos are released. Let me put these away, different clay bodies. The other thing is thickness of application. So we found that 4 coats worked best, and of course it's going to be difficult to see, but this is 2 coats, 3 coats, 4 coats. 2 coats has crystals and looks pretty good, but is mostly dimmer and more matte, and you get more crystals and more of the iridescence with 4 coats. So we do recommend 4 coats, and that is 4 fluid coats, not 4 thin coats. So as I was saying, they do pass food safety tests. Oh yes, Arlene says, when you hold them up and move them, you see the color better. I know it's hard to see metallic and highly reflective surfaces when they're holding still. And I'm quite sure that our photographer was just having fits trying to photograph these tiles for the labels. But so I recommend using them for non-functional decorative vases. So for example, we have vases with very narrow necks, so you wouldn't like put a bunch of flowers in them, or tiles or sculptural forms, because they're not as durable as most of your other glazes would be. So if you were to put them on in the dishwasher, I have a feeling that the acids that in dishwasher detergents would wear away the glaze and the iridescent surface pretty quickly. I mean, we find them pretty durable for handling, but dishwasher detergents are really, really, really strong. So sorry, losing track of what I was telling you. So on the food safety, so they also metal marking would be very difficult to use them on the insides of things. So this was one of our samples. It is glazed inside and out. This was not any special firing, and this was cone 5. Lisa asks, when will they be available at distributors? And the answer depends upon your distributor. So contact your local distributor. We will be shipping these towards the end of November, so late fall. They are being bottled as we speak. So if your distributor pre-ordered them, they will be getting them sooner. If they chose to wait, they'll be getting them later, if at all. And so it depends upon your distributor. You'll have to ask them if they pre-ordered, and in that case, they should be on shelves, I would say early December. So Kim asks, how much do these run? And that is an excellent question, and one that I did not bring the tiles for, but they run quite a lot. So with the Cosmos, we do recommend that if you are putting them on a vase form that does not have really strong horizontal texture, that you attach them to a drip tray. So this vase was like this vase, and it has a collar attached to it before glazing. That collar is attached with white glue and kiln wash, and then set inside a little catch tray dish. And so the whole thing, the glaze is able to run down and run right off the bottom. Now we do have pieces that have not been fired that way. So for example, Solar Flare, which is the runniest of the Cosmos glazes, because each of these are different, and they all have different personalities and behave differently. But this piece has really strong horizontal texture, and so I only got a little bit of running off of the side, not very much. But you have to be really, really conscientious about what your form is and how it's going to have room to flow. Now you can apply the glaze thinner towards the bottom, so like 1 coat, 2 coats, 3 coats, and then 4 coats at the top to give it room to run. I've also found that underglaze can slow down the flow of the Cosmos glazes. Not a Celadon, not a satin matte, only underglaze. So if you use a velvet underglaze, because they do not flux, or most of them do not flux, you can use a velvet underglaze like velour black or ultra black if you wanted a black line to slow down the glaze. It won't completely stop it, but it will slow it down. Sherry says, I've never heard of using white glue and kiln wash that way. Well, that is how these kind of drip trays are generally attached for doing crystalline glazes, is using a combination of, in some cases they're using alumina hydrate and either a white glue or a wood glue, some kind of, is it PCV glue? So they're using glue and alumina hydrate or kiln wash to adhere this, and then we will knock this off later using a mallet to detach it, and then use a grinding wheel or a sanding pad to buff this smooth and get all of the drips of glaze off of it. So you can see that it is nice and smooth, but this was attached to a drip tray just like this one. Sherry says mix together. Yes, mix together. Equal parts water, glue, and kiln wash. So, Joe, I'm going to, you have a question about the celadons, but I'm going to leave that for a little bit later, and I'm going to get started with some glazing. So, as I was saying, if you want to use a glaze on the inside, for example, if you are determined to use this on a functional vase, for example, or on a cup, what you can do is use our special up-down program that we will be publishing on our website. Oh, this one is new. So I'm going to glaze this with the Mars crystal. And while I'm glazing, I will continue answering questions. So the advantage of the up-down program is that you can still you can use a liner glaze and it will not blister, and it will still get good crystals. And if you do use a liner glaze, if you don't use a liner glaze, you will get enhanced crystal formation. So I am just going to move this around. And I'll set that aside. So you can see it just goes on. I apply it like any other glaze, just the same. Viv says, may have to risk one bottle for testing and single firing. Can't afford to test them all in case it's a total no-go. Viv, I don't know which one to recommend for single firing. As I said, all of the Cosmos are different, so they all behave differently. And I don't know which of them would be the most likely to give you good results in a single firing. Why don't you message me after and we'll discuss what clay you're using as well as what your program is for your single firing, and we'll see if we can come up with something that'll be the best option for single firing. I did want to show you some other interesting things. So this is actually this is Supernova. This is the same glaze. The only difference is that this one is applied over swipes of underglaze. So a variety of velvet underglazes were applied on this sculpture. And then 4 coats of Supernova. Suzanne says, so these are definitely not beginner glazes. No, these are not beginner glazes. These are definitely glazes for people who understand how to use glaze and are wanting to take things to another level, but they are not for people who are not comfortable with glazing. Sherry asks, have you refired any of these? And yes, I have. And some of the results worked out well. So I did take some that had been fired with a liner glaze and the Cosmos on the outside and had some blistering, and refired them with the up-down schedule, but they do run more. So I would be very, very careful about doing the refiring. It's hard to do a refiring with them and keep the appearance the way that you want it to be. So yes, this is underglaze over the Supernova, and I have another thing to show you as well. This, isn't that gorgeous? This is also Supernova over Radiant Red underglaze. Isn't that beautiful? Arlene's asking for this on the overhead. My color is off on the overhead, so it is not that bright. You know, this kind of almost electric blue, that is not correct. It is much more soft, like sky blue. But isn't that beautiful? And you can see how it did not run off the bottom, but it was thinner coats towards the bottom of the vase. And there is a slight channel here that helps to slow the glaze down so it doesn't go beyond that. But absolutely spectacular. Supernova. Supernova over Radiant Red, and you can still see tiny, tiny crystals. It's hard to see them, but they're just like the tiniest little ice crystals in there. So yes, beautiful glazes, amazing results. You do have to be very careful about how they're being used. If you are in a studio that has beginners, this would not be a glaze for beginners to use. So Kyle asks, was it applied in varied thickness bands? I do not know, because I did not apply the glaze to that. I assume that it was applied evenly, but that was made by somebody outside of our department, so I don't know what their technique was for applying it. And they might have used like 1 coat, 2 coat, 3 coat, 4 coat on this vase, but I really can't say for sure how they did that. Let me see. Are there any other questions about these? Maura says she almost missed this. Good morning. And so, things to know about the Cosmos. Yes, they run. Yes, I would not recommend them for food surfaces, even though they are food safe. That does not mean that they're suitable for dinnerware surfaces. So I would recommend keeping them on things that don't get a lot of contact and roughed up and don't go in your dishwasher. They are absolutely stunning, and they can be fired. So for example, this was fired, and this were all fired in normal cone 5 firings. Supernova does best at cone 5. If you take it to cone 6 or cone 7, at cone 6 it starts to show this kind of yellow tone, and at cone 7 it starts to turn entirely yellow. So it's only going to be this really crisp white at cone 5. The rest of the Cosmos glazes look great at cone 5. They look even better at cone 6. I have not yet tested them at cone 7, so I don't know I don't know how they look at cone 7 or hotter. So I would recommend, if you're going to try that out, you keep in mind that it hasn't yet been tested for that. We will be testing and releasing more information on those. Annette asks, when will they be available at Clay King or Glaze Queen? You will have to ask Clay King or Glaze Queen that question, because I do not have information about when, whether they pre-ordered and when they are expecting to get a shipment. They know more about that than I do. Sorry about that, but these will be shipping the end of November is our projected ship date. And so if your local distributor pre-ordered the glazes, they should have them by early December. Lisa Leslie asks, how many coats of Supernova and Radiant Red? I believe it was 3 coats of Radiant Red and 4 coats of Supernova. Again, I did not apply or fire it. I just know that that's what those are, and it was fired to cone 5 because that's the information that they gave us. I'm going to go back a little bit and answer a question from Joe about crazing. Joe Reed asks, can you address why I consistently get crazing when I use the Amaco Celadons with 2 or 3 coats? I fired a cone 5 or 6 with a Bartlett programmable controller, cone 5 with a 20-minute hold, and cone 6. I am using a stoneware and a groggy porcelain. This has been occurring over the last several years. The crazing happens with and without being applied over underglazes. Joe, crazing is always an effect of the fit between the glaze and the clay. And what is happening is that your contraction, the expansion and contraction of the glaze over the clay, is the glaze is shrinking more than the clay is. So it's pulling apart and you get the crazing. If you're having lots of large lines or fewer larger crazing lines, that means that your clay and glaze are fairly close together. If you're having many, many, many smaller lines, that means that they're further apart. If you will probably need to change one of those 2 things. It's not a result of your thickness, it's not a result of your firing, although it can be. But what is most likely going to fix it is changing your clay body. So you can change your clay body or you can change your glaze. And if you wish to keep using the Celadons, you'll have to find another clay. I have found that there are a lot of clays that do have crazing with the Celadons, but there are many, many clays that don't. My favorite for using with the Celadons, and it has no crazing at all, is Aardvark's Nara 5 porcelain. But there are other clays that people have used and have no crazing. So you might want to do a search in the Cone 5-6 group and see which ones have the least amount of crazing. And there may be other people who can answer that as well. So there is our information on the Cosmos glazes. My glaze is still a little bit damp, so I'm not going to apply the next coat yet. I'm going to apply that after we've finished filming. But thank you so much for joining me, and I will be sharing more information about the Cosmos glazes in the future. Happy glazing!